Good evening, and welcome to Otis Jiry's Creepypasta Crypt. In the mood for a tasty pasta to increase your adrenaline rush? Well, you've come to the right place. Pull up a chair, get some popcorn, put your feet up, and have a listen, if you dare.
Be Careful What You Wish For by Boris Stravinsky. Narrated by Otis Jiry.
He's not a god, you know.
Raspy and low, her voice startled me. I didn't think she could be awake this close to death. I turned towards her with my mouth open and a retort prepared. I already knew he was not a god, and what a bad idea it was to ask for a fiend's help. I wanted to tell her that there was no other choice, but her eyes were already closed, motionless and lifeless, as she was just a few minutes ago as I placed her on the altar. I felt very calm considering the circumstances. My palms were dry and my hands were steady as I drew the symbols required to summon the fiend. She was protected inside a large circle. I stood and waited near the edge of the outside. My heartbeat was steady when it appeared. The fiend was more ugly than the legends made him out to be. He looked like a gray old rat, half eaten by moths, crossed with a koala. I had my speech planned, every word, a life for a life. Once again, my mouth opened, but no words came out. The fiend laughed sharply. It sounded as if gastric acid, rancid old puke, and bad ideas were coming back up my throat.
Sure, I'll help you.
His huge, beady eyes could pass as adorable on any other face, but his was shining with mirth. Benign, I'd be inclined to say if I didn't know what I had in front of me. I waited this time. The fiend had obviously done something like this before, and there was no need for me to speak. Not interacting with the creature more than necessary suited me just fine. Bile raised up in my throat when it spoke again, but I was able to swallow it back.
That's what I do. Help.
It then turned towards her, stepping just close enough to keep the circle from breaking. Right before my eyes, she started breathing again. Her eyelashes trembled with unshed tears, like dewdrops on grass. Then her hand moved slowly towards her chest, and a rosy color filled her cheeks. I watched, mesmerized. It was like seeing a flower blossoming.
Now for my pay. It's only fair.
It spoke while turning its head in my direction, carefully watching me. I was fully prepared to pay and give him whatever he wanted from me. But his focus was back on her. He started for less than a second and vanished before my eyes, just like that. I can't describe the things that were passing through my mind. Gratitude, love, wonder. For a moment, miracles were real. When we returned home, my bride and I, the first days were happy and full of joy, spent mostly naked together. It was middle of the week when we started noticing. I think we both knew what was happening, but we didn't want to admit it. She was slowly rotting, decaying as if life had not returned to her body. The worst thing wasn't even the smell, it was hearing the worms late at night, eating away at her decomposing flesh as she lay in the bed beside me. Then there were the flies, the buzzing sound surrounding her everywhere she went, reminding me of the laugh of its laugh. She cursed me and begged me for death. She was there, trapped in her carcass, although unable to animate it. I would have done anything for her, so I tried granting her wish. We've tried everything, but no matter what we did, by the next morning she would be lying next to me under the covers, rotting away. All she does now is lie in bed. She hasn't uttered a sound in weeks. She used to try, but her vocal cords have become rotten and unusable. Now she just sits there, continuing to rot. Still a bloated, maggot-infested dead body. I did my research. Human decomposition shouldn't last this long.